Nick Fury's return in episode 1 of Secret Invasion was solid, but far from stellar. It came with the highly predictable death of Maria Hill, foreshadowed more than once throughout the episode, which immediately threw out storylines we were teased with moments before. It was a mixed bag, but set the stage, so how will episode 2 fare? Will the show turn out to be great or not so much? Hi there, it's Micha. Join me for this review video if you like to get my take on it. The episode starts with a rehash of the events of Captain Marvel back in 1995, continuing with a flashback to 1997, or a flash forward if we look at it from the previous point of time, where promises were made to find a new home for all Skrulls if in the meantime they are willing to help keep Earth safe. Among the crowd is a young and newly orphaned Gravik, who listens very closely.
You keep your word, I'll keep mine.
Back in the here and now, Talos opens up about having to bring all remaining Skrulls to Earth to save them from annihilation, a decision he had to make as Fury was gone during the blip. Something he also couldn't bring up later, as Nick was dodging Earth and his friends by staying in space. While the world believes that an American terror group is behind the Moscow bombings, and Fury's presence there, captured on video, didn't help, Gravik meets with a council of Skrulls, all placed in high government positions around the world, coercing most of them, some with words and some by force, into making him their military leader, with the goal of taking over Earth. Meanwhile, Fury meets with Rhodey, who is in Russia as an official envoy of the US. After catching him up on the situation, Rhodes wants to bring in the Avengers, while Fury, fearing they may end up being replaced, says that he has to do it alone, a fact that for Rhodey only underlines the decision he had to convey. After all the problems he recently caused, Fury is fired, effective immediately. Instead of complying, he breaks the hand of the agent supposed to bring him in. Gaia, who apparently wasn't aware to give wrong intel, digs deeper into Gravik's plans, finding out that he has scientists conduct weird tests, using samples from other aliens. Quick side note, did you notice that they have a sample of Groot? Those experiments are likely about emulating superpowers, should they need to replace an Avenger in the future. MI6 agent Falsworth also learns about the trials by torturing a captured Skrull, who is later rescued by Gravik, but then executed, on the suspicion of having spilled the beans on their secrets. The episode ends with Fury driving home to his secret residence, where he is revealed to be married to a Skrull. Action-wise, there is not much going on in this chapter. However, there are some developments going on to keep us interested, which seemingly are setting up the tone and plot for the rest of the series. While most of those are intriguing, some are not really plausible or just feel too constructed. Let's start with my favorite moment in this episode, the conversation between Rhodes and Fury. I expected going into the show that Fury would be the badass we all know, but he seems to be broken, which could become quite interesting from a plot perspective. I was sure though that we will be siding with him all the way, but I found myself mostly agreeing with Rhodes in this conversation. It seemed weird that Fury wanted to do it alone, especially since he doesn't appear to be at the top of his game. And his reaction after being fired, breaking an agent's hand on his way out, also doesn't reflect well on his current behavior. I'm not sure if his one-liner,
"And you wonder why you're out."
I'm Nick Fury. Even when I'm out, I'm in.
was meant to be cool, or if the creators wanted us to feel that maybe he lost it and right now is just too full of himself. Why would he not want to get the Avengers involved? Why does he think he has to do it alone? As of now, we only know that the Skrulls are stronger than humans, but they have no other powers. Besides shapeshifting, which is pretty cool. But if a Skrull would turn into Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel, they still wouldn't be able to fly. The experiments are still not known and might not even be successful. if that is even their purpose. So why would fearing superheroes to be replaced be a valid concern? Also, they could already be replaced. It is a weak argument. Obviously, the idea is to make this a more grounded show without bringing in the Avengers. Also for budget reasons, I guess. However, the Secret Invasion comic arc is filled to the brim with our favorite superheroes. So I hope for a more plausible explanation as just Fury going, because I say so. I'm curious to see if this struggle between whom we deem to be right here will continue throughout the show or if it will be clearer soon. I know there are speculations that Rhodey either is now or always has been a Skrull, but I don't believe this so far. And they better don't try to pull a fast one on us by later revealing that Fury was a Skrull, because it wouldn't make sense, and we also already had that in Spider-Man Far From Home. Next up, the Skrull Council meeting, which was very important but also felt weird. It felt way too easy for Gravik to make himself King of the Skrulls, especially by just intimidating one of them with violence. If they are in such high positions, they shouldn't be persuaded by a simple punch to their throats. The council was also way too small to feel relevant, again likely for budget reasons, but 5 or 6 people was not enough to appear convincing. The main reason for this scene was clear though. Even though he says to do it all for his people, he is also willing to use force against his own if it furthers his agenda. A fact reiterated by the end, where he has a fellow Skrull executed. Another fact that felt too conveniently constructed was the tortured Skrull who, out of all the secrets he could share, blabbered out the one fact that was also discovered by Gaia just moments before, about the experiments they secretly conduct. Quite predictable. Plot device, checked. Seeing Fury's wife and home though was a surprise, and I hope they will give more details there. But I guess if they will do it via flashbacks. Not sure how I feel about that in general. The flashback this time was okay, but I'm afraid there may be whole episodes being flashbacks lying ahead. A fact that is highlighted by Agent Prescott, who looked pretty dead at the end of a previous episode, being likely only able to return in flashbacks. And as he was listed in the main cast last week, he is bound to return at least once or twice in future episodes. Otherwise he would have been listed as a guest at the end, same as Kobe Smulders. If done well, flashbacks still could work fine, but relying too much on them can quickly backfire. At least they seem to shine light on why Fury hasn't found them a new home yet, for which a flashback would be worth it. With the Marvels being the next cinematic release and Captain Marvel being part of the original promise, at least in a way, I would expect a short cameo of her down the path, maybe building a bridge to the movie. If not, it would be a wasted chance to interconnect the TV and movie projects, something that so far was handled kinda lackluster compared to what happened in movies in earlier phases. Hopefully they also shine a light on why Gravik wants to destroy all humans, if there are already so many Skrulls in power. You don't need a whole planet for 1 million people. If the only explanation again is a big because and no further reasons, Gravik will just be another one of those one-dimensional villains, only doing it to gain power. Not everyone can be a Thanos, I get that, but they also shouldn't stop trying to make the villain's motifs more layered, and just a broken promise wouldn't cut it. With that being said, let's get to the rating. But before we go there, let me ask you to like and share this video if you enjoyed it so far, and if you are no subscriber yet, maybe consider to change that. By also hitting the notification bell, you will get a heads up for most of my new videos. Now for the rating. Let's keep it short here. I liked the episode regarding the plot points we were given, though some of those being presented felt a bit too convenient and almost lazy. There are some interesting conflicts that, if they are properly addressed, should make for a good show, or a bad one if raised and then ignored. Which one it will be remains to be seen. The last episode I rated with 7 out of 10, but just barely. It mainly got there due to the Samuel Jackson factor and Fury being back. As this bonus is used up now, I'm rating this one 7 out of 10 again, even though I overall liked it a little bit better than the previous one. There is still a lot of room for improvement, so let's hope the show utilizes that space and doesn't just start solid and then ends up being a turd, like some other Disney Plus shows in the past. Obi-Wan Kenobi. I guess the next chapter will add some clarity to that. What about you? Would you also more likely side with Rhodey in that big conversation? Did you like this episode more than the previous, or were you disappointed? What are your expectations and predictions? And do you think this show will end up being great or a dud? Whatever you like to share, let me know in the comments. So much for now, see you next time, and thanks for watching. Coercing most of them. Who is in Russia as an official envoy? Should they need to replace an Avenger? Was not enough to appear convincing. I was sure though that he will be siding.